Hello everyone. I am doing chapter 14, which is what can a new teacher expect? So in this chapter, the objectives are to define culture shock in your first year, identify and explain the role of the principal and the principal's relationship to the teacher, and describe the impact that other teachers can have on a first year teacher's experience. Describe and analyze the potential difficulties inherent in a parent-teacher communication, and explain and analyze the concept of social distance between teacher and student. So first up, we're going to be talking about culture shock. So culture shock and surviving the first year. When you step into the doors, no matter what age you're teaching, I teach high school, so this was really relevant to me because I'm a recent high school graduate. I've only been graduated for 6 years. So when I stepped into the doors of the high school, I got such a sense of nostalgia. I remembered, being in the FFA, which that's what I teach. So that really came back to me. And being in my floral design class and my landscape class, I remembered walking through the halls and meeting my boyfriend between classes, and it was my high school sweetheart. We got married. So the process of falling in love came back to me. Everything about the high school experience will come back to you. And so that could be overwhelming, especially if you're a recent high school graduate. Next, you need to just learn your school's culture. That's a huge part of becoming in the family and not feeling so overwhelmed, because you want to feel like you belong. And it might feel like a sink or swim situation. And in a lot of cases, it is. There's not a lot of instruction given to you. You're thrown into your class and you got to make it happen. No matter what you're working with, you have to come up with something for your kids, which can be overwhelming. So that first day of school is going to be so overwhelming, and you're just going to feel in shock. But I promise it will get easier. So don't let any of these things negatively affect you too much. I remember my first day of school. I had one class. Our classes are in block schedules. So I had them for 90 minutes. And after that 90-minute period was second block. And I had second block planning. And I had a meltdown. I was like, I cannot do this. I cannot do this. I need to quit. This is not the career for me. But I persevered and I got through it. And now I love it. So your administrators play an important part. So don't think of them as the enemies. I have here your administrators are your friends, not your foes. Know that they wear a lot of hats, so be patient with them. They're your leaders, your helpers, your policymakers, your crisis managers, your facilitators, your judges, your buffers. While you may not see them a lot, that does not mean that they're not fighting for you. So it's really important that you want to build relationships with your administrators. If you have a good relationship with them, you can accomplish a lot. Build relationships in positive manners, not negative ones. I'm not saying that you need to kiss up to your administrators, but just build those positive relationships. Know what they like, let them know you, and that's going to help you in the long run, especially if you have any problems throughout any situations that you could come across. They're more likely to go to the bat for you a little bit more if you didn't have a good relationship with them. Other teachers, this is so important. But it's also important to build good relationships with them, but know that you don't necessarily need to make good relationships with everyone. You're going to have great teachers and then not so great teachers. And within your first couple of days, your first couple of months, you're going to be able to sort these guys out really quick. Your great teachers, you want to find them and let them be your mentors. Go to them if you have any questions. Sit in on their classes. See what they do. They can also be a very good listening ear. If you had a bad day, if you need to vent, if you need help with anything, those teachers are going to be there for you. And they can also help you if you have questions about how to lesson plan. Those experienced, great, positive teachers are great people to go to. And then you're going to have your not so great teachers. And I'm not saying that these guys are bad. They're not teaching their students anything. But there's going to be this negative air about them. They're really going to play the political agenda. It was amazing to me in my first year teaching to see how much politics is actually played in the school system. It is crazy. So my advice for you first year teachers is to figure out who your great ones are and your not so great ones, and try to avoid the drama and the political agenda that's going on. Negative energy feeds negative energy feeds negative energy. So if you're surrounding yourself with those negative people, you're not going to have the most positive experience and great experience during your first year. But if you surround yourself with great mentors, great teachers, those positive vibe teachers, then you are more apt to have a better successful year in your first year. You know, birds of a feather flock together. So flock yourself with those great positive mentors. And your instruction. This might be the most difficult part of being a first year teacher, is figuring out what you're going to do with your instruction. So yes, it can be so overwhelming. I'm not even going to try to paint this picture that it's easy, because it's not. But as you go and learn, it will get easier. So it's going to be overwhelming, but planning will help mitigate that overwhelming feeling so much. My first year of teaching, I was actually planning my wedding at the same time. So I was wearing a lot of different hats. I was overwhelmed at school. I was overwhelmed in my personal life trying to plan my wedding. So my planning for school wasn't the best, and that stressed me out. If I would have planned and put some effort into my lesson plans and not trying to scrap them together the first, the morning of school, I could have saved myself so much stress and so much of that overwhelming sensation. So planning is so important. Like, I cannot stress that enough to you. And then don't be afraid to ask for help. Teachers want to see other teachers succeed. If they're those great positive teachers. Not so great teachers might have a different agenda. But again, we're not going to put ourselves with those. So ask for help. I was so lucky to have such a good support system. My two best friends teach agriculture. One of their husbands teach agriculture and horticulture. So anytime I had questions, I was going to them, and they were sending me lesson plans and helping me out. Like, if you ask for help, that's great. Don't feel like you need to recreate the wheel. Use the resources that you have, use those, and then in the years going forward, you can tweak them, make them better, make them your own. But, ask for help. People are here to help you. And then your students and parents. So students, it's important to remember that they are not your friends. Even if you've just graduated from college and you're close to their age, you are still not their friends. You are their mentor, you are their teacher. So be sure to set those clear boundaries so there's no questions. And then classroom management is key. Again, my first year, I didn't have the best classroom management policies because I really wasn't sure of what to expect. But my second year is going great because I've implemented really good classroom management. And then parents are your allies, contrary to popular belief. You guys want the same thing, but your agendas may be a little bit different on how to get there. But build relationships with your parents. That is just as important as building relationships with your administrators. Reach out to your parents for good and bad. Parents get tired of hearing all the negative things that accompanies their child. So if they have a good day, call them, let them know. Like, parents want to be in the loop. They might not do a good job of doing it all the time because they have so many other things going on, but they want to know things. So build relationships with those parents. And that is a good summary of chapter 14. Thank you for listening.